Your explanation of market performance today above 3,800 level?
The market is still depressed. I don't think there's been enough good news coming into the market yet to warrant it going up like what we saw last week. Even with good results that are coming into the market and everything, the market is still depressed and might remain depressed for some time. All indicators are showing that we're in a bearish period. If you look at a 20-day moving average, your 50-day and your 200-day, all of them, short-term, medium-term, long-term, point at a bearish period prolonged for maybe another month or so.
On the equity side, are there any companies that are showing resistance nonetheless, despite this negative and bearish sentiment, where the prices are staying relatively unchanged and even in some instances showing growth due to speculative activities?
It's more of a yo-yo actually that is happening. One day, giving example, today counter may be up 5%, tomorrow is down 6%, the next day it's up 3%, the next day is down 4%. So it's more of a yo-yo. You can't actually pinpoint and say this counter has consistently grown. But if you take your blue chips, which have relatively remained stable, they've not really grown, neither have they really lost a lot, but they remained stable throughout. Because most of the counters in the Nairobi Stock Exchange actually have a beta of 1. They are correlated to the market. So the market goes down, they also go down.
All right, what we did see in the previous session was that major declines were noted for some of the agro stocks, Mumias, Rio Vapingo, but also some of those which have been seen as firm favorites like KPLC. What's the trend today and how do you explain some of this?
Today the biggest losers were more on the commercial side. It was Standard Group, Kenya Airways and Olympia Capital that suffered the huge losses, with Standard Group going down 7%. KPLC relatively went up by close to a percentage point, same as Mumias. Sasini was rather unchanged today. But today the best performers actually were from the banking sector. You look at your Barclays, your Cooperative Bank, your National Bank of Kenya, they moved even more volume, Standard Chartered, but relatively stable prices. Yeah.
I mean, talking about the financials, some concerns about the PE ratios, for instance, saying some of these banking stocks are too rich. Yes, their fundamentals are strong, they've released great results, but they're just expensive stocks.
Yeah, I think that's also another issue that is affecting the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Most counters went up by 80%, 100% last year. And if you look at it in that perspective, from an investor point of view, a counter is a bit overvalued when it has gone up by more than 100%, without much real good news that can warrant it to go up by 100%. Yes, they've announced good results, 70% increase in profits, but that does not warrant a counter to be up 100%. So most counters are being perceived as overvalued already.
Where's the growth going forward? I mean, you mentioned that today there have been declines in the Standard Group, but this was a favored counter late last year, even early 2011. People saying that with the telecoms wars, we're likely to see really dynamic activity on the advertising services front, on the media space for some of these marketing wars.
I think what is actually playing in the market currently is not fundamentals. I think fundamentals, they made good profits, even Standard Group themselves, look at Scan Group themselves, but the issue is sentiment is actually currently ruling the market. What do people think of the future? And I think that's what is more being priced in. Are the companies going to repeat what they did last year? I don't think so. So that attitude is what is now making investors thinking, let me take profits, let me book profits, let me pull out, let me see how the macroeconomic environment altogether will play out.
What is that I don't think so factor? I mean, certainly for some of the agro stocks, it's the threat of drought creeping in. What else?
Basically, just drought. When you hear the news of drought and the disastrous effects that it has, you'll find Kenyan agriculture is not yet that developed. The land under irrigation is still low, and mechanization is also not that high. So when you hear drought, you think of lower production yields, and this time this drought is not global. So we are not expecting the other players, competitors for Kenya, to have also the same shortages that they're having. So prices will remain relatively stable. So with that stable prices and lower production, then it doesn't really look good for the agricultural sector.
And very briefly, Safaricom coming up with a major restructuring of top-tier management. Has that really improved the lot of the counter? I mean, it's been trading just above 3.5 shillings. Is this news going to boost it?
For Safaricom, okay, the news, it's a welcome move by Bob Collymore, but the issue is when number portability comes in, are we going to have the same drop that we in Safaricom, the same drop that we saw when Airtel, reduced cut rates? When Airtel cut rates, Safaricom share price dropped. Now with number portability, are we going to see the same impact on the 1st of April?